Russia attacks sarcophagus at Chernobyl NPP. Details about possible threat. The latest news next. Russia struck the sarcophagus of the destroyed fourth power unit of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant with a drone on the night of February 14th. As a result, the shelter was damaged. About details of attack, President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that on the night of February 14th, a Russian drone hit the sarcophagus of the destroyed fourth power unit at the Chernobyl NPP. According to him, this was an attack drone with an explosive warhead. Due to a UAV strike, the sarcophagus was damaged and the fire occurred.
The shelter at the Chornobyl NPP was damaged by this drone. The fire has been extinguished. As of now, radiation levels have not increased and are being constantly monitored. According to initial assessments, the damage to the shelter is significant.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that the Russian drone which struck the shelter above the fourth reactor of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant flew at an altitude undetectable by radar. This suggests the strike was intentionally aimed at the sarcophagus, reported by Zelensky in a conversation with a journalist at the Munich Security Conference.
The drone was flying at an altitude of 85 meters, which is undetectable by radar. This confirms that the strike was intentional. It wasn't a case of the drone changing course or anything like that. The attack was precisely on the sarcophagus, and it occurred on the very day the Munich Security Conference began. This serves as a clear message from Putin and the Russian Federation.
About details, Zelensky emphasized that this is yet another proof that the Russian dictator does not want the war to end. Zelensky also reminded that Ukraine built the sarcophagus together with other countries, including European nations and the United States. Against the backdrop of this Russian terrorist act, he urged partners to increase pressure on Moscow. Head of the presidential office of Ukraine, Andriy Yermak, shared photos of the aftermath of the attack on the Chernobyl NPP. The IAEA confirmed that around 1:50 today an explosion occurred at the Chernobyl NPP. The agency reported that the drone crashed into the roof of the new protective shell, which covers the destroyed fourth power unit. The explosion caused a fire on the roof of the isolation shell. The IAEA added that firefighters responded within minutes. According to observers, there are currently no signs of a breach in the internal protective shell. According to the agency, there were no casualties. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi stated that the incident at Chernobyl and the recent increase in military activity around the Zaporizhzhia NPP highlight the ongoing risks to nuclear safety. Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation, stated that the situation at Chernobyl is stable. However, he emphasized that the Russians are deliberately launching drones over the station, constantly experimenting with the flight altitude of the Shahed UAVs and attempting to fly as slow as possible.
They pose a nuclear threat to the world, which has invested in the safety of Chernobyl. Moscow is responsible for the Chernobyl disaster, and the same Moscow is now posing a threat to Chernobyl.
Daria Zarivna, advisor to the head of the presidential administration of Ukraine, noted that the Ukrainian delegation at the Munich Security Conference will discuss the strike on Chernobyl NPP with their partners. Today in Munich, we will discuss the Russian attack on Chernobyl with our allies and the United States, she wrote on Telegram. Yermak confirmed that Ukraine will raise the issue of Russia's strike on Chernobyl NPP at the Munich conference. According to him, the conference participants were angry about the news of the attack.
They are not concerned, as is often the case, but really angry. Because in the 1980s, the whole world helped the Kremlin to eliminate this tragedy when Moscow exposed unprotected people to radiation. Gorbachev received robots, equipment, and scientists. Then, the entire world invested in the shelter, and today, these Russian idiots have launched a drone at it.
Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, in response to the attack on Chernobyl, called on partners to strengthen sanctions against Russia.
The enemy only understands strength. Therefore, we urge our partners to impose decisive sanctions on Russia, including its nuclear industry. We must weaken the aggressor as much as possible.
Radiation threat possibility. President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that after the Russian attack, the radiation levels at the Chernobyl NPP had not increased. This continues to be monitored. This information was confirmed by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine and the IAEA. The radiation levels inside and outside remain normal and stable. No casualties have been reported. The IAEA continues to monitor the situation, stated the agency. Sarcophagus and its background. On April 26, 1986, a disaster occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the largest technological catastrophe in human history. The total radiation released into the air as a result of the Chernobyl disaster was 30 to 40 times higher than that from the explosion of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. However, Soviet authorities attempted to cover up the disaster. The Chernobyl accident became known when increased radiation levels were recorded in Denmark and Sweden. By the end of the summer of 1986, over 90,000 people had been evacuated from the contaminated zone at Chernobyl, and 81 settlements in Ukraine became uninhabitable. A so-called sarcophagus was built over the destroyed fourth power unit at the Chernobyl NPP to protect against radiation contamination. In April 2012, construction began on a new safer shell about the reactor. In July 2019, the new confinement was put into operation. The international community allocated 1.5 billion euros for this project. According to estimates, it was designed to last at least 100 years. In total, the new safe confinement at the Chernobyl NPP is the largest mobile land-based structure ever built, measuring 165 meters long, 257 meters wide, 108 meters high, and weighing 36,000 tons. On February 24, 2022, Russian troops entered the Chernobyl zone from the territory of Belarus. The Chernobyl NPP and the exclusion zone were under Russian occupation until March 31st, and on April 2nd, the Ukrainian armed forces officially liberated the Chernobyl zone. During this period, Russian soldiers damaged and looted measurement devices, telecommunications, computer, and office equipment. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.